going on my YouTube channel. What? You want to know the secret to posing? Alright. I'll tell you the secret, but you can't tell nobody, alright? The secret to posing is... What's going on, everybody? James Owens here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm kind of going to walk you guys through how to pose properly. I see a lot of stuff on social media, like the NPC guys kind of doing a little bit too much on stage. The judges kind of just show the back, show the front, couple transitions, and then get off the stage. So I just want to kind of walk some of the newer guys or people who are interested in competing, walk you guys through the basics, and then kind of show you the progress of my posing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you enjoyed it, please share it. And I'll catch you guys at the end of the video. Okay, so first let's talk about the front pose. We'll talk about setting into your front pose. So when you come up, you're going to walk up on the stage, maybe from the left or from the right, depending on what it is. And coming into your front pose, you want to have your toes facing either to the left or to the right, whichever way you're posing from. Me, I pose with my toes facing the left, and then I shift my body to the right to face the judges. So keeping that in mind, when you're coming onto the stage, regardless of which side you find yourself coming from, just take a couple seconds, walk onto the stage, and then get into a comfortable position to where you can switch to the side that you want to go to. Now, when choosing a front pose, for me, I used to do one hand on the hip, and then I went to no hands on the hips, and then I went back to one hand on the hip. And now I kind of do like a mixture of both. When I first come out, you know, arm across the clavicle area, exhale, show the abs, and then I come down, rest on my lats into a no hands on the hip. Once I show them my front with the no hands on the hip, quickly I go into a one hand on the hip, just to kind of show a mix up a little bit, try to get a different shape, different angle for the judges. Some judges may prefer one hand on the hip, some judges may prefer no hands. If you haven't been able to, you know, kind of perfect or tweak either or, just choose one that you're most comfortable with and try to perfect that, try to be good at that. I practice posing after every workout session for anywhere between 5 minutes to 20 minutes. I enjoy posing practice, and obviously the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll get with it. So I usually transition between no hands on the hip and one hands on the hip. Sometimes I get pretty fatigued on stage. I know my last show, I've only done 2 shows, but my last show I was getting pretty fatigued on stage, so I didn't want to try to hold that one hand on the hip. It was easier for me to relax with both hands off of the hip, so I stayed off. But I think for my next show, I'm definitely going to throw one hand on the hip. So just choose one that you like. If you're comfortable with both, you really enjoy both, find a way to add both into your posing routine. As you can see, I kind of, like I said, start off with the no hands, and then I quickly go into like a one hand on the hip before I transition into my back pose. Now, moving into transitions, this is probably the biggest issue that a lot of NPC guys have. They watch the pros, they watch, you know, people on YouTube and stuff, and they see all these cool transitions that they like, and then next thing you know, their routine, their amateur routine is full of unnecessary transitions. Like I say, in the NPC, the judges don't care about transitions. Honestly, you can be that type of person that just goes, front pose, turn around, back pose, and then get off the stage, and 9.8 times out of 10, they will not dock you points for those transitions. Some people just find transitions a little bit easier way to get into your pose, and then it makes you look more confident on stage. So I recommend 2 transitions. One transition from the front that's transitioning you to the back, and then one transition from the back that's going back into your front pose. So as you can see from my front pose, my transition is super simple. With my inside leg, or the leg that's closest to the judges, I take a step forward. With my outside hand, I kind of just throw it down and flex the tricep a little bit, and then my roaming hand or my floating hand, I kind of bring it close to my chest, and then I crunch into my obliques. This is just a good way for me to, you know, transition while still showing that I'm conditioned, I have a good core, and it's a super simple transition for me to turn around. Like I said, it's nothing special. but you don't want to be too flashy on stage, especially not an NPC stage. Judges do not care about you being flashy or your cool transitions. Your transitions won't get you extra points, you know. So just don't. I don't recommend wasting time on transitions. Like I said, I step forward with that inside leg, outside leg keeping me balanced. That inside arm goes straight down to flex that tricep, and then my outside arm kind of goes up to my chest, and I crunch into my obliques. And then that's, I turn around to the back at that point, and then I go into my back pose. Now, moving into the back pose, a lot of people say shows are won from the back. That's here nor there, but I think your back pose is a really important pose because if you have a good front, but you don't have a good back, chances are you'll lose the show to someone with a not so good front, but a really good back. When posing for your back, and I see a lot of people struggle with this. So when doing your back pose, the two biggest things you want to stay away from is one, bringing your elbows too high up, and then two, bringing your elbows too far back. One, if you bring your elbows too far up, you kind of create space between your tricep and your lat, and then that makes your shape, your overall width, look a lot more narrow. The higher you bring your arms up, the more narrow you'll look, but if you keep your arms down and then you engage your lats, you'll look a bit more wide, and then you won't create that gap or that space in between your tricep and your lat. As you can see, me going into my back pose, I kind of pause a little bit. You can't really see, but in the front, I kind of have my hands on my chest like this. I engage my lats hard, and then I slightly lean back. First, the slight lean back is, the judges are slightly below you, so you don't want to stand straight up tall, because then the judges won't see your back. They'll kind of be looking up, and if you're standing straight up, they'll just get a look of you straight up, right? So you kind of want to give them your back, so lean back slightly. You don't want to lean back and then, fall into the judges or anything like that, but slightly lean back, show them your back. I bring my hands on my chest like this. It's a good way for me to squeeze and engage my lats. And then as you can see, as I open up, I just literally just bring my arms down. My arms aren't high. I can hold that pose pretty much all day long. And I kind of just rest my triceps on my lats. And the reason you don't want to bring your elbows too far back is because then you'll kind of start to pinch. And you don't want to pinch, your back muscles and your rear delts, your erectors. You don't want to pinch those because you take away, like I said, from the overall width. Judges love width, especially from the back. And if you want to stay as wide as possible. When you go into your back pose, like I said, I kind of put hands on my chest. I engage my lats here. I lean back. My chest is up, and I look up just a little bit, just so that lean doesn't take away from. My chin doesn't take away from that lean. So I kind of lean my head into the lean a little bit. My chest is up, my hands over my chest, and then I open up and I just drop my hands down. My arms aren't flexed, my fists aren't flexed. I'm pretty relaxed in that position. The only thing that's really flexed is my lats. So just remember, don't bring your elbows too far up and don't bring them too far back because you take away from the width of your back. My second transition comes after I'm done with my back pose. And it's pretty much just me kind of flexing my back one last time. It's the same position that I got into when I first got into my back pose. My hands go back up, clamped together close to my chest, and then I just flex my lats as hard as I can before transitioning back into the front. You can mess around with your back pose. I really like Kyron Holden's back pose. He kind of does like a front pose from the back. And you can just see width all over that dude's back. It's pretty crazy. I see a lot of people try to mimic Aaron Banks's back pose. You got to remember, Aaron Banks is a pro, so those guys get 45-ish seconds on stage. They have time to show their physique, so he can put that in. And then a lot of people think Aaron Banks's back pose is like a flashy back pose, when in all reality it's not. If you study the sport enough and you talk to these guys enough, his back pose helps him get into that contraction of his lats to show how wide and big his back really is. So don't try to mimic pros too much. Just try to find best ways for you to engage the muscles that you need to display. Keep those transitions short, 1, 2, maybe 3 transitions, and then just show your front and your back. And that's really all the judges are looking for. What's good? What you need? I'm doing a video. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a pretty straightforward video. I just wanted to give you guys a couple tips on how to hit your poses on stage. I've been reached out to by a couple NPC guys telling me that I'm a really good poser, and I just want to let you guys know I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate all the support. Like I said, I practice like, anywhere between 5 minutes and 20 minutes depending on how long I got in the gym or if I got to be somewhere. But practice, practice will help you. Get in the gym, get in front of mirrors. You can see my gym. This is World Gym in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And these mirrors like help. As soon as I'm done with my workout, I go look into the mirrors, and I spend 5 to 20 minutes practicing my poses. I practice get into my pose and sitting. Try not doing this so much. I practice on my transitions, and I just practice my time. I got a timestamp in my head. Like you gotta have like a cadence or a count to keep you on track so that you're doing the same movements and the same transitions approximately at the same time, so you know how much time you really have on stage. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was one that's kind of been getting asked about, and I finally got to get it put out for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please ask questions in the comments. Feel free to leave likes, and please check my description box for some of the companies that I'm affiliated with, and then you can use my discount code for that affiliation. I believe that's all in there as well. For you to get anywhere between 15 to 25% off, and that includes supplements by FNX Fitness, gym apparel by Lean Muscle Fitness, and then like wrist straps and wraps and everything from Grip Fitness. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will catch you in the next video.